As part of the Cobble Classic season here on GCN, we're going to conduct a couple of tests involving arguably the most simplest part of the bike, the tyres.
Yeah, it's quite amazing to think really that given all of the design and technology that goes into a modern top-end road bike, there is these humble pieces of, well, rubber that make the biggest difference when it comes to how your bike handles and feels when you're riding over these cobblestones.
Is it that much of a surprise though? Because it's the only bit of the bike that has contact with this bone-jarring surface. And also, they're the most compliant too.
Yeah, so the question we're going to be trying to answer today is which tyre size is best, fastest, grippiest, most comfortable over these cobblestones? And are the pros using what's best for them? Because I mean, at Paris-Roubaix, we know they use wider tyres, but here in Flanders, they tend to still opt for fairly standard 25 mils.
Well, forget about them for a minute. What's fastest for the rest of us non-pros?
Yeah, should we find out?
Yeah. Before we get on to the test, let's have a look at the equipment we're using. We've got 3 sets of tyres each, and they're all from our partners at Continental. They're Grand Prix 4000 model, but we've got them in 3 different sizes, 23, 25 and 28C. We'll be using them on the new updated Bontrager Aeolus wheels. Now Dan is going to be using the disc brake version with a 28mm rim depth. I'm going a lot deeper, and for caliper brakes, my rim's 60mm.
Now the pros will obviously always use tubular tyres when they're racing, but since that's not really the sensible option for the rest of us, we have decided to conduct this test on clincher tyres. The 3 different whips come in at 215, 225 and 235 grams respectively, so that is just under a 10% weight difference at the extreme. To do the test, we have come to the Haaghoek in the Flanders region of Belgium. Now, this is a great section of road to do the test on because firstly, the cobbles are rough. Secondly, it steadily undulates up and down, plus there's a bit of flat as well.
We'll be riding at a steady 300 watts for each run, recording the time, which you'd think will be about the same, and then noting our subjective feeling each time. All the tyres at all their widths will be pumped up to 70 psi or 4.8 bars.
First up, it's the 25C tyres. These are, we would say, currently the more common choice for professional riders at the Tour of Flanders. Some do ride 26mm and a few 28, but most appear to be using fairly standard 25mm tyres, as they have done for a number of years now. Although, that said, on our Bontrager wheels, they are measuring in at just over 28mm on these calipers. It's 2 tests in 1 here, because I'm firstly going to find out our 25C tyres feel on cobbles at 70 psi, and secondly going to find out if I can do 300 watts. Whew, bit nervous.
$25mm run. $25mm run, 306 watts average, 330. Didn't feel too bad actually, but bottom line is those cobbles are still pretty harsh. Just forgot what 300 watts felt like. Another one coming up.
Yeah, I managed 300 watts. Right, now for the biggest tyres on our test, 28C. Which are basically the biggest that we could fit into our frame sets here. Now, I personally normally run these tyres at less than the 70 psi we're using today, but since this is only a test on tyre width, we're going to keep the pressure the same throughout.
Okay, it's the fattest of them all. 28mm time. 3, 2, 1.
Okay, 28mm tyres donned onto the wheels. It's time for my second run. 3, 2, 1, go.
Never gets any easier, does it? So 2 seconds quicker, same watts. Not much in it at all.
Didn't feel that much more comfortable, I must admit. I wonder how Matt got on. And finally, it's time for the narrowest 23C tyres, although they are measuring again a bit wider at 25mm on our Bontrager wheels. I must admit, they look particularly narrow, especially on these rims.
Here's a run with the skinnies, 23 mils. Boop, 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 boop. That was a bit more uncomfortable. Didn't feel too bad, but a lot more rattly, a lot more vibration going through me. Average exactly the same, 307 watts, and 3 minutes and 33 seconds. So, still pretty solid, but the thinner tyres just a little bit slower.
Exactly the same time as the 28s, 300 watts exactly, 3 minutes 45. Well, we've been looking at the results again, and I don't think we can really draw any statistical conclusions, can we? Because they were so close, all of our runs, for both of us. I was actually fastest on the 25mm tyres, but the difference was 2 seconds. And the 28s and the 23s were exactly the same time and exactly the same power, which I was quite surprised about.
Yeah, my fastest tyres were actually the 28 mils, but they were only, I've got my results on here, they were only 2 seconds faster than the 25 mils. And the 23 mils, well, they were only 3 seconds slower. So there's not much between them at all. And I must admit, that has surprised me a little bit.
Yeah, and I don't think we can really draw any conclusions from that, can we? Because the wind might have changed ever so slightly. We only did one run on each width of tyre. But what I was most surprised about was that it actually didn't feel that much different between the 28 and the 23. Slightly more jarring, but there wasn't as much in it as I was expecting.
No, I can definitely say that marginally, the 28mm tyre was a more comfortable ride. But I must admit, I expected a really harsh, jarring ride on the 23s. But surprisingly, it wasn't that bad. It felt pretty quick and wasn't far off the others.
Yeah, we did do some runs and actually some extra riding between the runs, should I say. And we did find that there was a bit of a difference in terms of cornering, especially on the wider tyres. But it has made us think that there is a very good reason why the professional riders are still sticking to 25C tyres. There's probably still a slight aerodynamic advantage with them, even though the rolling resistance is about the same. And let's face it, there's far less cobbles in the Tour of Flanders than Paris-Roubaix. It's about 20 Ks in Flanders, I think.
Yeah, when you think about Paris-Roubaix, firstly, generally speaking, the pavé is harsher, and it's about a fifth of Paris-Roubaix is on pavé, so about 52 Ks every year, give or take, which is immense. So hence the reason why they generally ride a larger volume tyre, like 27s or 28s.
Well, I think what this has taught us, and the conclusion we can make, is that although the width doesn't make a huge difference, presumably then the pressure of the tyres will. So I think we need to do another test, another time, somewhere else, and just experiment with the pressures in the bigger tyres and see how much of a difference that makes to our run times.
I fancy going to France.
Yeah, they are a bit rougher over there, aren't they?
Yeah, let's give it a go. Let's go over there.
I need to let my bum recover first. I'm a bit sort of... Anyway, if you've enjoyed this video, please give us a thumbs up just down below. That's probably slightly the wrong way to phrase it after that. But
You might put
right, if you haven't yet seen our Tour of Flanders preview, make sure you catch up on that before the race takes place. You can find it by clicking just here.